This sculpture lesson is all about the art of assemblage. Assemblage is a type of sculpture exactly the way it sounds. It's where you assemble pieces together, typically made of everyday objects or found objects. Found objects are things that you just find lying around in your life or things that are often thrown away or discarded. Assemblage art can also be pronounced assemblage, but in my classroom and in this tutorial, I call it assemblage. My artwork today is inspired by sculptor Louise Nevelson. She is famous for creating these monumental, huge, monochromatic wooden assemblages with pieces of wood that she found around New York City. I love teaching this technique because you don't have to be good at drawing or painting to find success. It is so much fun to think outside the box with objects that you would normally throw away or highlight objects that are really important to you. This is a great way to learn about composition and how to arrange a work of art that is interesting to look at. If you love learning about art, hit that subscribe button so you never miss one of my art tutorials. So if you're like me, you've been doing a lot of online shopping, and so finding cardboard won't be difficult. I'm using cardboard as my base because it's cheap and readily available, but I've done this with old computer boxes, I've done it with wood. You can use whatever surface you would like to attach your found objects. I'm cutting this into a smaller shape, and it's going to be a pretty small assemblage, and I'm just using the pieces that my cat hasn't chewed on to make a square base. Use whatever you have that will handle all the found objects that you're going to glue. This is a relief sculpture, and that doesn't mean, whew, what a relief. But a relief sculpture is where you build up from a flat surface, so it would hang on the wall or on a shelf traditionally like a painting, but all the added sculptural elements are attached to a flat base. So once you have your base ready to go, it's time to organize your composition. In art, composition means the visual arrangement of the elements or the parts and pieces of your work of art. So think of it as a composer in music is arranging the elements to make a song. You're arranging the elements to create your work of art. I'm using just scraps of cardboard that I collected. Some of them are from the box that I originally started with, and some are other pieces from all the deliveries I've received since March. When I'm working on the very basics of my composition, I try to remind myself this is abstract. It is not representing anything in particular. So I follow a few rules. First, I always start with my large shapes first. So you wouldn't put a tiny little shape and then work around it. You want to start with your biggest shapes and then overlap medium to small from your base. It is definitely like playing Tetris or putting together a puzzle. So I'm going to speed things up a little bit as I just play around with the pieces that I have. I want to make sure that I am being considerate of negative space, so you can see that I have left some of the background showing, and having some straight lines and edges and diagonals is going to help there be a sense of unity in your work of art. Yes, it does look a little chaotic, but you don't want it to look like a bomb went off. You want to kind of control the chaos. My first non-cardboard piece is this box that my iPhone headphones came in, and I thought it would make a perfect little shelf or area to show off a found object that I want to be my area of emphasis. More on that later. So once you have your composition figured out, it's time to commit to gluing. I love using cardboard because it's so easy to glue. I've done this with students before with wood, and we had to use wood glue, and it was much heavier and it took a lot longer. Glue sets pretty quickly. Within 20 minutes or less, everything on here is going to set, and it's also going to be really lightweight. Once I'm done gluing the main pieces, I like to focus on texture. And texture is the way something feels or looks like it feels. And I think texture in a monochromatic sculpture like this is really important to create just little areas of interest. So I'm just cutting shapes that I think will enhance certain areas. So I really want this box area to be emphasized, and it's just a way to create more depth and more interest in just parts of your composition before you start adding those found objects. Knowing when you're finished with your composition is always a struggle. So here's the guidelines I give my students. Always include a diagonal shape, a horizontal shape, vertical shapes, and make sure there's plenty of overlap from large to small with some texture. Now it's time for the fun part, found objects. Found objects are exactly how it sounds. They are objects that you find that you think would make interesting areas on your work of art. This is a great artwork if you want to focus on recycling or upcycling. So you can see I have a bunch of lids to water bottles. I have a random feather from my yard. I have a coffee stopper. So if you know in advance that you're making a found object assemblage, you can collect things around your house like this onion bag that you normally wouldn't consider art, but that you can use in a work of art to make a statement or create areas of visual interest. So start thinking, what do you have laying around that you have lots of or that are interesting? Old jewelry, old hardware like nails and screws, keys to a suitcase I don't even own anymore. And some found objects are more special than others, like the Star Trek Enterprise, the Next Generation badge, or this arrowhead that I'm setting off to the side because they're really special, important pieces that I might use to highlight. I'm not convinced I'm actually going to glue those down because they have personal meaning to me. These bottle caps, however, I've been collecting them for weeks. So they're not trash, I would recycle them, but they're an object that I can use repetitively to create repetition in my work of art. Here is my old Fitbit charger that my cat chewed up, and I love using old tech pieces that have cords to create like a visual line for your eye to follow in your work of art. Just like with your cardboard, this is like playing Tetris or putting a puzzle together because there's no one solution or right solution. And I do think it's helpful to think of a theme. So my students have always been super creative, using recycling as a theme. Nature versus man-made is a really fun theme. So you collect things from nature and you kind of arrange them next to things that are man-made. And I don't have a clear theme yet, but I'm getting there. So before I glue down all my found objects, I like to paint my base coat first. I'm using a very cheap black acrylic paint that you can buy at any craft store, Walmart, or on Amazon. And I'm using old brushes that, I don't mind kind of getting roughed up a little bit. Cardboard's pretty easy to paint. It is a little bit thirsty, so it kind of sucks that paint right in. And you do want a larger utility brush to get into your cracks and crevices. So I should mention my objects that I did choose to glue down are dry. You would not want to try and paint like this onion bag if the glue hadn't dried yet. And the reason why I'm painting it before finishing my found objects is I want a clear idea of what my composition looks like as far as texture and overlapping shape. So this is pretty easy, and I usually have my students choose a background of either solid black or solid white. Black is the easiest color to use because it's the darkest color. It covers up everything. White is elegant and lovely, but it does take a little bit more work. You might have to put another layer on it, where black, usually one is enough. Louise Nevelson sometimes use gold or metallic colors. And artists like Betty Saar and Joseph Cornell leaves the found objects completely unpainted so that you can really appreciate the objects for what they are. So I'm kind of borrowing ideas from a lot of different artists, using Louise Nevelson's one color monochromatic background, and then I'm going to layer found objects on top of this to really enhance what the objects actually are. My paint is dry, and I did a pretty good job of getting all surfaces because remember, this is a sculpture or a three-dimensional work of art. You can see how just one base coat of your color can just give unity and togetherness within this work of art. So now I really have an understanding of my composition, and I can play around with found objects before gluing them down and deciding if I'm going to paint them as well. I know the theme of my sculpture. I want it to be something about objects that are thrown out or discarded or things that aren't useful anymore. So this paintbrush, for example, I really want to include because things that I throw away a lot are old, used up art supplies like paintbrushes that maybe weren't properly cleaned. Now, this feather really speaks to me. It does not go with my theme of art supplies, but a feather is something that falls off a bird and is discarded. So the idea, I don't want to say trash, but the idea of things that are recyclable, used for one purpose and then used for something else is the direction I'm going. And I will start committing to gluing down certain objects as I go, starting with this really white box that my headphones came in. And I love how the white contrasts or is very different from the black background. Something to remember as you're gluing your found objects is that not every object will react the same way to Elmer's glue. Heavier objects that are made from plastic, they might not glue as easily as the cardboard. So be mindful of the material and the weight of the objects you're using. Everything I'm going to use today will be used with this Elmer's school glue. So broken pencils, broken crayons, the life of an art teacher. These are found objects that I have plenty of. So I'm still kind of figuring out what I'm going to glue where, which objects best fit my theme, and also what objects am I not going to color. For example, in my white box, I'm now playing around with putting Praying watercolor refills. It has a really artsy splash of color that might be nice in this work of art. I'm not convinced I'm going to keep it, but that's the whole beauty of working with found objects, is playing around with how you lay them out and how everything works together as far as concept, color, and shape. Old wires like my Fitbit charger are really fun to work with because you can carefully cut them and reveal lots of fun colors, and I'm twisting it around my paintbrush. It just creates really great movement lines. I am still trying to figure out what I want to be my area of emphasis or focal point in this assemblage work of art. So this box I left white, I want to really catch the viewer's eye, and I'm playing around with different art supplies that I can glue down. Here are some of my old watercolor paint tubes, and I like the repetition, and I like how they're white with a little bit of color, which I think is a nice solution to some of this. This yellow crayon I painted black earlier, and I'm peeling back a little bit to reveal the yellow. I also painted the pencils because I felt they were too yellow, which I didn't include in the video because I accidentally deleted that part. But you get the idea. Now for my favorite part of all, a metallic dry brush to enhance my found objects and my textures. So with a dry brush, you are going to wipe most of the paint off, and then you're going to apply a very light layer. So this is going to enhance my textures, my found objects, and I can really create areas that stand out and are more noticeable. With my students, I love doing a simple black background or white background with like one metallic color to enhance certain areas. Look how that pencil that was just flat black just really comes to life. Anything that you want to stand out, and this is a great way to catch the viewer's eye and help it move around your work of art. And assemblage can be kind of messy, so you're always kind of organizing the chaos. You don't want it to look like you just mindlessly dropped and glued a bunch of trash on a surface. You want it to tell a story. You want the viewer to really look at it and have something to follow along as they look. You can see how that Fitbit charger wire really gets enhanced with a nice layer of silver. This is where I am changing things up from the fabulous Louise Nevelson, who is very famous for these assemblage sculptures. She kept hers one flat color, so it really created unity in her works of art, and it truly transformed the objects into like one piece and not like this is a wire. And so for me, I think it's interesting to teach the elements and principles of art, and this is just such a great way to focus on repetition and emphasis and shape and line, and it's great to talk about composition. So I'm just trying to pick certain areas to enhance. Okay, so I'm not doing the whole thing silver. I'm picking certain objects, certain shapes, certain areas that I want the viewer to kind of find and discover as they're looking at my sculpture. It's important when doing the dry brush technique to use, obviously, a dry paintbrush, but also wipe away so much of your paint. You can always layer it, but you don't want like gloppy layers of paint. You want the black or whatever base color you have to shine through. I could see doing this without the metallic dry brush. I could see doing this with spray paint. What if I had sprayed this like solid, glossy, fire engine red? I think that would look really awesome. So this found object assemblage is such a great way to teach sculpture. It's a different way to approach making art. And I love the opportunity it gives us to take things that we wouldn't think of as being art, like a broken pencil, and elevating it to a higher level. And also thinking about how often we throw things away. We definitely live in a consumer culture. That Amazon Prime truck is headed to my house lots of times, and this is just a great way to stop and reflect on how we use objects in our everyday life. Thank you so much for sticking around and making art with me. And if you're interested in more art and sculpture tutorials, check these out. And also check out my website, thatartteacher.com, for full-length lesson plans and student work examples.